What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to the full view. We are nearly full. We're nearly full. Few technicals. And you know what? As soon as that just proves that as soon as Owen is not here, everything just doesn't work. That is how he is. I think DJ said before we went live, he's our Casemiro. He is everything that makes everything tick. But no, big up to Owen. He's feeling a little bit under the weather at the minute. So yes, had to get some stuff sorted. And Marcel just, I don't know. I don't know. Everyone get onto Marcel, at
He's
him on
disappeared.
Twitter.
He's
You
gone
know,
AWOL.
he's gone AWOL. Yeah, I don't know. He said to me this morning he wasn't feeling too bad after the Arsenal loss, but maybe he's reconsidered and he doesn't want to come out of the woodwork. I don't know. But welcome back to Kenny. How you doing, Kenny, man?
I'm great, thanks very much.
Wicked, wicked. Good to see you back again, bro. And big up to Mina, big up to DJ as well. A lot to talk about in this show, man. Obviously, we'll talk about a little bit of the fallout from yesterday. Want you guys to have your say on that. But there's been a lot of talk today about the striker search for Manchester United. A lot of reports talking about Kane. David Ornstein came out and said that Kane is looking actually at a deal to stay at Spurs now, which was very interesting. Then OSIMHEN, a little bit from Fabrizio Romano, talking about OSIMHEN as well. And I just wanted to kind of spark that debate and that talk about the profile of striker we should go for versus the one that we shouldn't, and stuff like that. And that and loads of other things to talk about as well. There was some stuff in the news about Manchester United looking at Griezmann in the summer. They looked at him. He said, "No, I'm happy where I am. But if Simeone goes, then he could be on the market again." Would people entertain that? So we shall see. But there's a lot to talk about. Let's start at the striker situation because it's been really interesting to see what's kind of been happening with this, because this is obviously more of a summer thing. We've obviously bought Weghorst in the short term, and you can really see that we need like the guy, whoever that's going to be, whether it's Kane, whether it's OSIMHEN, whether it's Vlahovic, whoever it's going to be, we need that proper long-term fix. Kenny, how do you feel about this Kane situation sort of dwindling? Do you think we need to go all out and try and tempt him, or do you think we need a different type? How do you feel?
Well, my take on it is that if you look at it from, let's look at previous history. We don't have a good reputation for recruiting many players, let alone a striker. And my concern would be if we were still keeping the same owners, then we would be going Harry Kane, because he suits that 30 plus shirt seller in theory. But from a new owner's point of view, they're not good. Harry Kane will have no sell-on value. This will be Harry Kane's last contract. And I always remember Ralph Rangnick advising the Red Star Group and saying that you should never sign a player over 29 that's on his third or fourth contract because they're not hungry anymore. So I tend to look at it from that respect. In the is Harry Kane coming for one last payday? I don't know. Is Harry Kane coming here because he wants to win and achieve medals or whatever? Or is he just going to be another Matt Letizia that's probably going to stay at the same club?
Another cliffhanger.
Another one. Another cliffhanger.
Kenny's just got it. He's got it with these cliffhangers, and he kind of refreshes, and then he comes back in. This is what Kenny does. Shahifi says, "Bam, Kenny knows."
I know I do that, don't I? I tend to do that when I start off and get going, and then I apologise for that. I've other people gone as well.
That's all right. No, everyone's still in.
Right, that's fine. I'm sorry. No, so right. Harry Kane's great. He's got a great scoring record. He's breaking every record. He will continue to break records. What I like about Harry Kane is the problem we have with any striker that we look at is the service to them. Our strikers don't get many chances. They don't. We look at it. You can look at even at this season. We've got the worst goal difference in the top six. Why? Because we don't score a lot of goals. We're defensively, we're very good at the moment, apart from yesterday, but that's another story. But if you look at it, lots of clean sheets, etc., but we don't score at the other end. And the reason is simple. The reason is we don't create enough chances in and around the box. So what Harry Kane does bring you, which I never thought, and more I watch Harry Kane, he does a lot of work outside the box, which is probably what we need. So if you're looking at Harry Kane as opposed to a different type of striker, you could get a striker in. Lukaku was a classic example. You know, Lukaku had a good reputation. He left United and continued to score, etc. But we're not very good with number 9s.
We're not.
So are we better with 10s? Are you with me?
False
Are you
nines.
better buying 2? Yeah,
Anything but a 9.
Yes, because and we're seeing it at Liverpool. We've seen it at Liverpool. They've given Nunes, etc. And all of a sudden, like, he's going to match Haaland, etc. But it's not. It's not firing. Do you know what I mean? So a true 9 would be a difficult for the way that we play football.
Yeah, Mina, what are you saying? Are you bothered on the type? Do you want an OSIMHEN type? Do you want a KANE type, or do you just want someone that's actually a long-term option that we spend money on? Who's gonna be? Are you just get one in? How do you feel?
No, I want someone that will come in and do the job. When I'm on the OSIMHEN hype, because when I watch him, and I've watched him quite a bit for Napoli, especially this season, he's a pure 9. He's a pure 9. He terrorizes defenders. He causes trouble. He's got pace. He's good at link-up play. His physicality is great. He can strike a ball well. He can head it. He's literally what you would say is an out-and-out 9, where there's not many of them nowadays. And obviously the market is quite saturated when it comes to finding an option. I agree with Kenny about the whole, trialing with Lukaku. I think that's the only time we've actually tried to buy a number 9 since RVP has left. We've gone for a lot of short-term solutions, like I mentioned before, where we signed Cavani and Falcao, and the list is actually endless. Zlatan, CR.
Yeah.
So the list is actually endless. But I'm really hoping that, not only just a striker, but one that fits what Ten Hag wants. I think Harry Kane would be I think it would be a board signing. Right now, I feel like if this current board had the option and they were still here in the summer, I think they would go for Harry Kane over other number 9s, simply because he's a household name, especially in England. He's one of the biggest strikers here. Probably Haaland is getting to that level, but in terms of English football, he's kind of an icon at the moment, and he will break records. And we know he scores. He's kind of altered his game in the last 2 years for Spurs in terms of dropping deep, linking up with Son and with other players. So he's kind of doing what I think actually Wayne Rooney was doing when he was coming towards the end of his career, when he was playing less as a striker and more as like the creative striker for everyone else. I don't want that. I want someone that's going to score. But in order to get that, we also have to address the creativity problems that we have. We have fullbacks that are not crossing into the box much. We've got wingers that can't beat the first man with their cross. We've got wingers that are hesitating to cross the ball in and would rather dribble and take their man on. So if we are going to get a striker, I'm hoping that all the other, situations that contribute to a number 9 being successful is also addressed.
But what do you think? What do you think Ten Hag wants, though? Like, what do you? So she's gone.
I'm still here.
There's gremlins in everyone's system today. What is happening? DJ's been the only constant. Imagine that.
Me, all people.
It's Owen. It's Owen.
Yeah, it's Owen. Yeah, 100%. It's the
I want
power of
Owen, man. But
what do you think Ten Hag wants? Like, what type? Do you think he wants the anchor man, the back to goal, the target man, the Haller sort of thing, or do you think Ten Hag would want someone like Kane?
Nah.
You don't.
I don't think he would want someone like Kane. I mean, I think any manager would want someone like Kane, but based on I think the long-term idea that he's building at Manchester United, I don't think he would want in 2-3 years' time, especially with injury problems. That's another thing that we're not talking about is injury problems.
Exactly.
I don't think he would want to go into the market again after 2-3 years to go out and sign another striker. I'm talking about that Kane, I do think is hungry. I do think he genuinely wants to win a title, but this is a question to everyone else, but do you think he wants to break the Premier League goal record rather than win a Premier League? Because he's not going to win a Premier League at Spurs.
What are you saying?
I think he wants to win a Premier League. I think a lot of strikers that come into the Premier League, if they're hitting goals for the lesser sides, there is always that question mark whether they're going to jump to, like the top 4, the top 6. Kane is within that top 6, but Spurs haven't really been doing nothing since he's been there. They've come close a couple of times, but haven't really done anything. And I think, for me, he's very similar to RVP. RVP was doing bits at Arsenal and he needed that next step because he wanted to win things before his career was over. And I think Kane at United, I think it does fit. I think he could definitely fit into what we're doing now. But I think it's the question what Flex asked. It's, does Ten Hag want that type of striker? Me personally, I want a striker. I want a penalty box striker. I really want someone in front of the goal that's there to tap it in. I don't want sexy goals, 25-yard screamers. They're nice, but I'd rather just tap it in and you can get 20 of those, 25 of those a season and you're laughing because those are the ones that win the games. Those type of goals win the games when you really, really need it. So me, I want an old-fashioned, back to goal, physical, over 6 foot, can cut and have a bit of feet as well and can bring players in. That's my archetype. Whether that's out in the market, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. We've gone for a lot of hybrid type strikers in the past, a lot of wingers / strikers. I think now's the time to get a specialist in.
Yeah, we do need
Flex.
that specialist in the position. Yeah.
One of the other things what we're not taking into account as well is, and we're seeing it now, we're seeing it with Garnacho and we're seeing it with what Chelsea are doing. Because of the way that financial fair play works, these bigger clubs are now giving 8-year contracts. And they're giving 8-year contracts so they can spread the initial outlay over that 8-year period. Now, if you give Harry Kane an 8-year contract, do you see where I'm coming from? You can't do it. So you're going to be paying £100 million, and I'll say £100 million for Harry Kane. You're going to have to offset that in years 1, 2, and 3, because you're not going to be, surely at 30 years of age, you're not going to be giving them a 5-year contract.
No, they'd probably give him a 3, maybe with an option. Yeah.
A 3. So, but from the financial fair play, if you sign OSIMHEN at 22, 23 or whatever, you give him an 8-year, he's only costing you 10 million a year on your financial fair play, on your accountancy. So we wouldn't see it like that, but they certainly will. And that's why they're going for longer contracts, to get around financial fair play.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing that. I mean, just with Kane, I'm going to give you these stats, right? I'm just going to lay it down of what Kane is, because I feel like what happens with Harry Kane is, I think the Spurs-ism surrounds him, and sometimes you can forget just how good the player is, and also vice versa. He has these injuries, and he's getting older and stuff like that. So Harry Kane's 29. He's 30 in July. So if whoever got him in the summer, he would be 30 by the time the new season starts in August. So that's a fact. These are also facts, right? 2014, 2015. He played 34 games, 21 goals. This is just Premier League.
Yeah.
15, 16, 25 goals in the league. 16, 17, 29 goals. 17, 18, 30 goals. 18, 19, 17. 19, 20, 18 goals. 2021, 23 goals. Last season, he got 17 in the league. And this season, he's already on 15. But here's the interesting thing for me, actually, because he's kind of has this asterisk about the injuries. He's got this ankle and this, that, and the other. Well, I'm looking at the Premier League appearances, and the lowest he's ever played in the Prem is 28 games. And that was about 4 years ago. Last year, he played 37 games in the Premier League. He played all but one Premier League game. So when he was out...
Do you think with age, obviously, you become a bit more injury prone? We've seen it with like KANE, for example.
Yeah, I think Kane's yet to have a big one, and it's the risk versus reward, isn't it? Of course, because we don't know. You're right, Mina. If we could get him, and then knowing Man United's luck, that's the one where he was out for 10, 15 games. We don't know.
I think you also have, you also have to consider as well who he's been playing alongside in them 5-6 years. Son's been exceptional. He's been an exceptional, Son. So as a foil for Harry Kane, the relationship and the number of assists they give each other is incredible. If you've got a Son at Old Trafford, bring him tomorroh.
Could Rashford be our Son?
A Son type, potentially.
Could Eric Ten Hag get Rashford to be our Son?
Potentially,
exactly. And that's what you're looking at. That's what he's been. You can't argue against his goal record. It's superb for England as well. And he looks a true professional. You don't see him, in trouble on Instagram or whatever. He just seems a model professional, gets on with it. And that's what you need as well. That's what.
Would he make us better? Would Harry Kane make us better, worse, or indifferent?
better.
It'll be better because
Yeah.
you'll be scoring goals.
Yeah.
Like
Better.
that's what you want a striker to do.
But I
He'll
think
make
it's
us
the
better.
relationship. How would he like the relationship with all the other players? And it seems Ten Hag's still not quite sure on what the back four's sorted. The back four's sorted, and it looks like midfield is sorted for now. It's just the up front. It's very indifferent.
I don't think
Martial's
midfield
is-
injured.
No.
I was just about to say,
Sancho.
I don't
Not
think
midfield.
midfield's sorted now.
Midfield is
Not
Midfield's not
midfield.
sorted, DJ. We need some serious.
Yeah, but I'm
need
saying
more-
in terms of starting 11, Casemiro and Eriksen,
Yeah.
Oh,
Bruno,
starting
they're
11
gonna
wise,
play.
yeah.
Sorry, that's
Starting
what I
11
meant.
as well.
Yeah, you know that they're gonna play. It's just that
Yeah.
front three at the top. Like we know for now, Rashford's on the left. He's not getting dropped. It's just up front and the right wing position. Those are the two iffy positions. And if you brought Kane up top, it's about those working relationships. Bruno gonna feed him? Is it gonna work?
For me, with the Harry Kane thing, I'm not against it if the price is right. I'll be honest, I'm not. I think someone being 30, if they're world class, I don't care if they're 30. We just got Casemiro, he's 30, and I know he's won things that Kane's never even laid a finger on because he's been at Spurs. But I mean, if you're good enough, you're old enough. But I think that also applies to the other side of it, not just the young side. I think if you look at Thiago Silva at Chelsea, like he's 37, something silly like that. And I know it's centre half, but if you prove that you're resilient enough and good enough, and you can still perform at that level and contribute and do it week in, week out, basically, I think Kane could still score at that rate for another 3 years. I think. I think he can. Why is he? I don't think he's any different to Lewandowski, Benzema.
I think he can because
yeah,
if you look at this season, this Spurs team, it's a struggling Spurs team. He's got 15 goals. If Haaland was not in the Premier League this season, he'd be top. Harry Kane would be top scorer. He's got the ability to still score goals, and some of them have actually been important goals for Spurs, whether they're equalizers or last-minute winners. So he definitely has the ability to score. For me, it's about whether he's a Ten Hag option or not. I think I do remember Eric Ten Hag mentioning that if he wants a striker, he wants a speedy one, one that's got pace, and that's what I think. OSIMHEN might be more the striker that
was
I think but that's you're comparing it to like what he had in Ajax and what he needed in the Dutch league. He's come to the Premier League now, and he's probably thinking, I need a fast striker if I'm going to implement what I want to implement. I need, because if he was right now in Ajax, his striking decisions might actually be different because he's playing in a different league. It's actually somewhat of a slower league. So that's what I genuinely think in the Premier League. He's probably thinking, I need pace. You see, he likes pace. He likes to put Rashford sometimes up top. He likes to put Garnacho on the left. They've got pace. Anthony does have some pace when he wants to use it himself. So you know Ten Hag likes that. That's why I think OSIMHEN is more probably the option that Ten Hag might lean against. But I think Napoli will make it easy for him to be sold, especially when they've sold. They got rid of quite a few players last season, and they are on the way to win the Serie A this season and having a great Champions League. So I think a big difference in that is also going to be negotiations. Do we want another De Jong situation?
Man, I don't want that. That's long.
Says my word, if only Martial could stay fit, he's exactly the type of striker Ten Hag really wants. Kane is not the same as Martial. I'd rather have Kane up front for Man United than Martial.
I would.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, look, I'm not saying like we have to go and get Kane no matter what. He's got to be our guy. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, he definitely makes us better. If he gives me 3 years of making sure he scores 20 goals in this team, and we also fix the midfield for the creation, 100%. We need, if you haven't watched the tactical view, check it out. We were talking about the need for, I don't want to say his name, but a Frankie de Jong type midfielder.
Ball carrier.
Ball carrier. You know, Eriksen isn't going to pick up the ball when the game's tight, get on the half turn, beat a couple and get us up the pitch. Casemiro's not going to do that. McTominay is not going to do that. Fred is not going to do that. Bruno doesn't really travel with the ball well. He doesn't really have that drive, that thrust, that acceleration with the ball at his feet. But he can pick out good passes, and he's a willing runner, and he works his socks off. But that type of player who can control the game. And I do think once we get that type of player, I definitely think we will create more chances. And like you said, guys, the right wing, we've spent 80 million and then 77 million before that on our right wing. And we're still saying it's up for grabs.
It's true.
Exactly.
We're
It's
even
true.
talking about Palestri after all of that.
Exactly.
Do you know how I bring and like Mina's on the loan view. You know, bring Ahmad in there. After all of this, we spent all of that big money on big players like Sancho and Anthony, and we're still saying it's up for grabs. And actually, the left wing has been the guy who's always been there in terms of Rashford just finding himself. It's really ironic, but yeah, just to kind of finish off on the strike thing before we keep it moving. I really like OSIMHEN, though. I like. He is an absolute handful. When you watch him, he's almost unstoppable sometimes. You just think, flipping heck, if he was in the Premier League, he would be causing havoc. He's the type of player that you look at and you think, I want that. Like I want someone hounding the opposition fullbacks and centre backs.
I wasn't sure about him, Flex. Can't lie.
Yeah, but he's proper,
really
man.
Sure.
He is proper. He is sharp. He is, and you know what? He is a contrast to Martial. Like Martial, clearly in this Ten Hag system is, you know, drop off, kind of, you know, link the play. Martial basically doing what Kane does. Well, the thing that we're saying, Kane, like, drop off the front, and Martial's hardly getting shots. He's hardly making runs in behind where he's clean through on goal. His job is like what Kenny's saying, the Bobby Firmino kind of type of striker. And Kane's a better version of that. So if someone said about Martial, well, I'd rather have Kane any day of the week over Martial in any team. And I'm sure Ten Hag would. But OSIMHEN gives a complete different like vibe. He will stretch defenses. He will make defenders think, shit, we can't be too high up. Like he's gone. Like you know what I mean? He is gone.
What's the price tag though? What are you saying, Flex? If that's a thing, if he's on the if he's on the shopping list, what's the price tag?
Because
that's clear of 100 M's, you know. Clear.
OSIMHEN.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, nothing ain't telling him for less than that.
100%. Are you guys comfortable? Let me ask that actually. We'll go around the room. We'll start with Mina, then we'll come to Kenny and come to DJ. Mina, are you, and we don't know if this is going to happen, I'm just asking as a hypothetical. Are you comfortable with that? Saying like OSIMHEN's going to be the best part of 100, maybe plus? Obviously, we spent 100 million euros on Anthony. Are you like, yeah, if we have to spend that on a striker, you spend it, or are you trying to get some value in the market and say there's got to be a guy out there for 60 M's or 50 or 70 or 80? Or do you care? Do you care at all, or you just want the right guy?
No, I care, obviously, because, you know, the pressure that comes on a player when he comes to Manchester United with a 150 million price tag. We're seeing how Anthony's being, you know, criticised for his performances over the last couple of games because of his price tag. We've also seen it with Harry Maguire, less in punditry, but more so with the fans. We've seen it with Paul Pogba. We've seen it with Sancho. You will get criticised with a big price tag on your head. And the last thing that I would want is a player to come quite obviously young, similar to Jadon Sancho. OSIMHEN is only like 23 or 24. And yeah, exactly like Kwaku said, they brought him for 70 million. He's top scorer in Serie A this season. At least they will put a price tag around 100 to 120. And then you got to add the United tax on top of that. And then you got to add the Chelsea tax, because Chelsea are running around in the transfer window just throwing money at everybody and anything. So there's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if they say something around 120 to 140 million, and, you know, minimum, depending on what, yeah, minimum. And then that hopefully it could be something, you know, with a base fee and add-ons and all of that stuff. But it's difficult because if we have a 200 million budget, hopefully that's even optimistically, if we have a 200 million budget, that's 60-70% spent on a striker.
That is a lot.
I mean, it's premium, innit? If you're going for the top, you need premium. So
it might pay off, but then it's one of them ones, because he's young and he's an investment that's definitely worth it. But I think you look at the striker options and think, well, what else is there? Because I'd rather we paid the best money for the best player rather than going for a cheaper option and not knowing what we're going to get.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, last year, I'm just looking at OSIMHEN's stats. Played 32 games, scored 18. Not bad. That's league and Europa combined. The season before that, obviously he played 30 games and scored 10.
He's missed quite a few games with injury. I know that.
A lot of injury there.
Since 2021, I think he's struggled with
injuries for a young guy. About the Kane injuries. What are we saying about? I'm seeing a lot of reds here. I'm seeing a lot of Kane miss.
And he plays with a face mask as well. I think he got broken cheekbones or something.
He's breaking down. He's got a mask of Zorro on. He's missed games. What's going on?
Now you add that in. I don't know, man. What 120 on a
Yeah.
guy that's missed?
And also,
Not too
even with
sure.
the transfer, even with the Napoli transfer, I remember they bought him for like 70 million, but they were quoted around 95, and they threw in 4 academy players, and I think they might get investigated after FIFA and them lot are done with UEFA. I think they might turn to Napoli and look at that transfer, because that was a red flag of a transfer. That could work in our favour.
Yeah, Serie A's in the mud right now, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's insane what's happening at Juventus, and there's always seems to be something. I think it happened at Inter as well, or was it when Conte was there? Juventus got done another time, didn't they? I think AC have
Have been done twice in the space of 20 years.
It's madness.
unbelievable.
Madness.
Quaku does say OSIMHEN just runs around. We need a finisher.
Nah,
Mate,
he's a finisher.
I don't know
He's
if
a
you've been watching
finisher.
him, mate. The kid can finish. Let's get some of the super chats read out from the viewers as well. Priest of Melon says, wait, oh no, that's gone. G'd Up says, Weghorst was a terrible signing. Marco Reus is a better option. Perhaps help Sancho rediscover his form. We have Sancho, but we play him Weghorst. Felix was a bargain. We let him go. He wasn't a bargain, Felix. That's the thing, G'd Up.
12 million for a loan.
Exactly. For a 6-month loan. He was literally the opposite of a bargain, you know, of how much it cost for a short loan. Hakeem W says, food for thought. We've gotten worse every time Anthony comes off. I agree he's been mid. Might just be a coincidence. Saka showed up, Anthony big time. Do you agree with that? Have we got worse every time he's gone off?
You know what? I didn't think so. A lot of people
changed formation.
didn't really like him.
Yeah,
a lot of people didn't really like his performance, but I didn't. It was okay. There was a lot of times where he was running at Arsenal defenders, but he didn't have any backup. He was just really isolated. And in those isolated situations, he did really good. He did well when he had like 2-3 rounds.
Today.
He was all right.
I think we have this expectation, see. So what's wrong when you buy a player like Anthony and Sancho is you call them winger. So if you call them winger, you have this expectation in your mind that you're buying the next Ryan Giggs or the next David Beckham that's going to go flying around, beating 3-4 players, then cross it from the dead ball line. Those players are not around anymore. Jack Grealish is showing you that. You know, Mahrez may be a bit of an exception, but the majority of people that are what we would call traditional wingers now, most right wingers play with the left foot, and most right wingers play on the left foot with the right foot. So when we categorise someone as a winger, we have it in our mind that these are the speed merchants that fly along the byline, dribbling around 3 and 4 play, and that's what we have in our mind. But in truth, the more of a, you know, like a right-sided midfielder or whatever than a winger as such.
They play like wide 10s.
It's a wide 10, exactly.
Yeah, like a wide 10, yeah.
And I think Anthony could be that type of player, because when I've seen him, his close control, forget his running past a player, because that's impossible. I think he'd struggle to run past me, and I'm 62. But but if you look at what he can do in and around players around him, and his little touches off, he's obviously got some. It's very skillful. It's very skillful. And I thought yesterday he protected the ball well at times, but he went past Perty yesterday, and Perty turned round and just strolled and caught him. And that was like, wow. I thought he was actually going to burn Perty up when he turned round and went past. You know, Perty just turned round and caught him, and I thought, that's bad. That is bad for a
I think United have just bought sort of like the wrong profile of winger. I think we've just got this mixed match.
Exactly.
We've got too many different.
And there were expectations as well.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll come good, Mina? You think he'll come good? You think Anthony? You think he'll be okay? And it's just a time thing. Like, this is his first 6 months at the club. We're going through a transition. We're changing style of play. I know he's Ten Hag's guy, but you know, he's got a lot to adapt to. Or are you a bit worried?
Yeah, no. I think he's just being patient, isn't he? It's his first season. I did see yesterday, and even the Palace game, he tracks back. That's one thing I like about Anthony. He tracks back. We see with Rashford sometimes, which is why Luke Shaw was actually quite isolated yesterday, and in the Man City game as well, because Rashford wasn't getting back to support his fullback. But Anthony does do that. And obviously it's Wan-Bissaka 1v1. Wan-Bissaka doesn't really need the support, but it's good to have that extra body there. So that's one benefit that Anthony does do. Obviously, I think I think it's just being patient. I genuinely think it's just being patient. If it was 2-3 seasons into his time at Manchester United, criticism is warranted. Even now, I say 2-3 is about actually being too nice. Next season, I expect him to step it up, step it up a gear, because at that point, not only has Ten Hag been in the role for over a year, but hopefully the new board that will come in will back Ten Hag in the summer transfer window to allow him to get the players that he needs to kind of construct the team that he wants and the starting 11 he wants. Amad Diallo is licking his lips right now watching Anthony. He's licking his lips because the performance that Amad Diallo is having at Sunderland obviously is championship, but even the physicality, the difference in physicality that he's developed in his 6-month loan spell, he puts Anthony to shame. Anthony's getting flung around by Tyreek Mitchell away at Crystal Palace. So I think it's good that Amad Diallo is having a good loan spell because people like Anthony will definitely be threatened by him. But you raised the point earlier, which is actually interesting. We've spent more than 150 million on 2 right wingers, and we're still saying that right wing spot is up for grabs.
And you know what? It's even more than that because we spent. Remember when we got Pellistri and Amad, and we were like, "Yeah, what's going on?"
Amad was about 40 million.
Yeah, 40 million.
Pellistri was another couple millions. So in total, we've spent about 200 million, say approximately 200 million on the right wing spot. And nobody actually owns it at the moment. No one actually owns it.
Do you know who I think Ten Hag should go for? And I mentioned it in studio, is Federico Chiesa. That's the type of winger he would like because he's pace, he can beat a man and he can put the ball in the box and he's very direct. And we spoke about Rashford and Garnacho. The thing that Rashford and Garnacho actually share is that they're very direct. Like they'll go straight to the man and beat the man. Exactly. And I think Ten Hag has always been mentioning in post-match press conferences about threat. He wants our players to be threatening in the opposition box. At the moment, Anthony isn't necessarily threatening. He does a lot of good work, but it's away from the opposition box. If you saw Saka in the game, Saka was pushing Luke Shaw back every time into
the epitome of the position
box.
That's the benchmark. The worst thing is, people were saying Luke Shaw was on toast yesterday and he did this, he did that. I looked at Luke Shaw. I swear to you, I said, you know what the worst thing is? And this is testament to Saka. I don't even think Luke Shaw played that bad.
He didn't. He didn't play that bad.
I just see it as he was up against Saka, who literally he played a 20 out of 10 Saka yesterday. Like he was just absolutely at it. But that's the key of having someone that engaging. When, like you said there, DJ, when people see Anthony, as if you're a fullback, you go, I'll just show him right. I'll show him right, or I'll drop off a little bit. He's not going to come full pelt at me and go past or kick it past me and run. He won't do that. He's going to do a lot of, tricks and little turns. And if I get too tight, he might meg me. So let me just. He's good at that, but I'll just sit off here. He will stop. He will slow it down, and I'll wait for support. But at the end of the day, the benchmark is higher than that. In this league, I look at the most effective wingers in this league. They're all quick. They can all get past you. They can all finish. They're all sharp, and they're all very proactive.
But Flex, there's levels though, innit? There's levels to quick because Sancho, he's quick. He's not slow. He's quick, but is he winger quick? Is he electrifying play?
He's not. I said Sancho don't have that. Sancho needs.
He's not that.
Sancho needs triangles. Sancho needs to be able to bounce wall passes off people. He needs combinations to be able to play, which when you play quick football, that can make players look faster than they are. Look at someone like David Silva. David Silva in a certain system and stuff will pass your head off. If you were on the pitch, you think, bloody hell, where's he gone?
Yeah.
But in a foot race from point A to B over 50 yards, you'd beat him in a race. Do you know what I mean? So it's about the style of play, and that's what Arsenal do. They just create loads of overloads everywhere, and they're just so fluid. But I think what they do possess, though, is those players in one-on-one areas like Martinelli, like Saka. Then if you look at Grealish, he's a powerful runner. Even if he's not the fastest person in a foot race, in a 100-meter dash, his zero to like in a car, you say, what is it?
0 to 60 in that.
0 to 60, yeah.
Yeah.
His 0 to 60 strong. Do you know what I mean? Which makes him difficult. Mahrez, the thing is, if you want to be like Anthony, you have to be like Mahrez, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because he's like, what he's going to do, but he has a bit more disguise about it, and he's a bit more difficult to stop. So, I don't know. I agree with Mina, though. It's his first 6 months. to just bide our time with him. And he's actually that's the thing. He's actually getting into good positions. I think. I feel like he gets in the right position on the counter, so he can start something. He sets off on his way, but then when he's halfway on his way, you just got this feeling like, I know he's going to stop and cut.
It's like doubt sets in. It's like doubt sets in
or
his
he tries
mind.
to
It's like
ball round the back, round the side, or there's not enough weight on it, or he's played it too late, or the poor execution, or it's just. I think his biggest problem is decision making.
Do we need that though? Do we really need that?
No, we don't.
At this point?
We don't need that.
We don't need that right now. We really don't need that.
He's got to work on it, isn't he? He's got to work on it. I was going to read out some super chats actually, guys. Apologies. Priest of Melanin says the Saudis will get us Mbappe summertime. Trust. Hakeem says good point, Kenny. But all the best wingers in the Premier League are speed demons with skill and finishing. Anthony was better yesterday than credited, to be honest. Red Baron says nice seeing DJ back again. Big up DJ back. Yep, he's back in. And Red Baron says Dallo is 1,000,000% better than Wan-Bissaka. I think they're just.
You say 1,000,000%.
Yeah, I mean they both give
different
you something
players.
completely different. Yeah, like that's what's been really crazy about Wan-Bissaka actually. Like, how insane is that turnaround? That is a player that literally we even probably said, well, Ten Hag's clearly made his mind up on him. You know, didn't really
and that's
play
what
him.
you know. What's funny? That's why I feel like Sancho is going to come back and hit the ground running because
he's coming back on smoke.
I genuinely feel like what Ten Hag has brought out in Rashford, what Benny McCarthy has brought out in Rashford, what Ten Hag has brought out in Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka still has his flaws. He's not the greatest right back. He still has flaws. There's still things that Dalot does way better than Wan-Bissaka does, but there's stuff that Wan-Bissaka has improved on immensely that he was criticised for. So I do think is a lot of it is man management, and Ten Hag is showing how great he is at that.
I think the other thing as well is what we need to remember is when Wan-Bissaka first come to the club, it was all raving about his one-to-one tackling and Spider-Man, etc. He's then had 18 months at the side of Harry Maguire and Lindelof, and he's fallen off a cliff like they have. You've given him half a season at the side of Varane and Martinez, and a team that's a lot more confident, and that is showing. So, and if you when you see it at the game, you can see Varane talking to them. He's talking to Shaw. He's talking to Wan-Bissaka. That must be massive. If you are used to getting pelters from the crowd, which they have been doing, so your self-confidence has got to be low. It's got to be, which is bound to impact on the way that you play the game. But if you've got Varane, if you've got Martinez, if you've got Eric Ten Hag, as you've said, with his man management, if you put that with a good player, then you're going to get a great player. I'm not saying he's a great player, but he's the young lad has improved 200%. 200%. And yeah, he made a mistake at the back post or whatever, but that's an old mistake now. That's something he's always had in his game.
Yeah.
He's always had in his game, and that I'm sure over time will be eliminated. Will be eliminated because he's being coached. That's simple and straightforward. He's being coached, and he's at the side of quality class players that are guiding him. And that's all you can ask.
I think that's a good point, Kenny, as well, because I think a lot of criticism about the managers we had before was lack of coaching, lack of hands-on coaching, and Flex, you've been down by those, you've seen them up close. Like, how much coaching does Ten Hag actually do? Like, does he do a lot of coaching with the players?
Yeah, and not just him. Mitchell van der Gaag, Benny McCarthy, Steve McLaren. I tell you what, on tour, and Kenny, being an older fan and being around the club for so long, you'll know, Steve McLaren.
Yeah, exactly.
I had reservations when we were going to get him, but I was like, because it's co-signed by Ten Hag, I'm like, I'm all behind Ten Hag. So if he wants him, obviously they spent time at FC20 together. We'll see how it goes. Honestly, on tour, I couldn't believe how hands-on he was. I couldn't believe how Kenny's back. I couldn't believe how involved he was in the thick of the training sessions, pulling players aside, you do this, you do that. Really, it wasn't like, a Mike Phelan who was just literally on the periphery, just there to give everyone a little pat on the back and a little smile, give them a little hug or whatever that was when it was Ollie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, DJ, from obviously I can only say for what I've seen from those moments and open training sessions, which you get a glimpse of, but you can see that Mitchell van der Gaag is a serious guy. You can see that Steve McLaren has not just come back on a jolly up because he used to be here back in the day and has won titles here with Sir Alex. He's still good. He is a top level coach. And Benny McCarthy, man, like what he's done since he's come in the forward line, I think there actually been a lot of what Marcus Rashford's done at his doorstep and the work he's been doing. And what's his face? Eric Ramsey as well. He's very vocal. I've seen him part of it. So it isn't all Ten Hag. Obviously, when you're a manager / coach or whichever one you are, sometimes you do leave it more to your coaches. You just kind of brief your coaches on where you want to be. You're all aligned, but they might actually be better at, delivering that session than you. And that's how it works. So same with Sir Alex. That's why we'd always freshen up his number 2, whether it would be Carlos Queiroz or Brian Kidd back in the day, or what's his face, Steve McLaren. Whoever. I've
been impressed with McLaren in the sense of he's playing his position. There's no ego there. I know that he was once the manager and Ten Hag was his number 2. And to see him really playing his position and from the limited clips I've seen, it seems the coaches are all business. That Van der Gaag guy doesn't even smile. But I like that.
He doesn't.
He doesn't smile. He's just serious.
Literally doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. He's like, I'm here to work. I'm here to work, and that's it. But where was we? Yeah, so on the Wan-Bissaka thing, Kenny, like you said, 200%. Like I can't believe how he's playing. It actually makes us I don't know. It makes me, I speak for me, it makes me think twice, like as a fan, because we write players off. And I'm not saying like players that you have written off it's wrong to. So I'm not saying Ten Hag, well, once he works with Maguire, he's going to be X, or once he works with McTominay, you just wait. Because really and truly, if you look at it, Ten Hag's worked with the players that he thinks he can work with, and he's dropped the ones completely who he doesn't. I was looking at, remember, I was just like halfway through this show, I just got up the team lineup. So I was like, was Maguire actually definitely on the bench yesterday? Like, that is still our captain, Like, that's how, and do you remember when Ten Hag first came in? And actually, before he came in, I remember doing shows on this channel and speaking to everyone, and people were saying at games or whatnot, or on online, when he comes in, he's a proper manager, we'll stick by him and stuff like that. And I said, what's everyone going to do when he comes in and he gets asked about Harry Maguire straight away, which he did. And he keeps him as the captain. And is everyone going to stand by his first decision? People were like, oh well, we'll have to see, etc., etc. And I remember when he did that, and people were like, he should have taken it off him and stuff. But let's face it, guys, it's been a masterpiece what he's done. And I'm not saying I want Harry Maguire to keep not being good enough, or I'm happy he's playing poorly. I'm only going off how well the team's doing in a new light. He's walked in and said, Varane and Martinez are my guys. Even Luke Shaw is my guy over Harry Maguire. So he's phased him out. I don't need to come in and make shockwaves and take the captaincy off him. My team selection, like I always say, like the manager can say what they want in press conferences. When they pick the team, that tells you what a manager really thinks.
Very true. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, over the course of a big sample size. Like out of like 20 odd games or something like that. Whoever he kind of like Eriksen, he's on although he fades in games and stuff like that, clearly in Ten Hag's mind, he is absolutely vital. Because I'm not I'm not trusting McTominay to do what he does. I ain't trusting Fred on a consistent basis. I ain't trusting Donny van de Beek, even though obviously he's out now with a long-term injury, but before that, and that's his guy. So that tells you what he thinks. And the fact that he managed to phase out Maguire and work with Bissaka like that and up Luke Shaw's levels, and it's just been insane what he's done. I mean, coming off the back of how we were against Arsenal, how are we feeling actually? Because a lot of people were saying we're going in the right direction. We did as well as we could have done considering the players we've got. Just a bit on Ten Hag and how we do. Actually, Mina, start with you. How was you after yesterday's loss? Like now you've calmed down a little bit and you've contextualized it, and how are you feeling?
I was just disappointed, but it felt like a different loss to last season, how we were losing, and the years before that. The first half, I think we we were competing. We were competing in the first half. That Rashford goal again, like I said, you can tell that he's been working on the different forms of striking a ball, and he's getting more confident. I was disappointed with the second half, and we looked flat. I think we looked quite similar to the Palace game, and I'm not sure what it is. I'm guess I know what it is. I don't know why I'm saying I'm not. I know what it is. It's fatigue. It's tiredness. We've got congested fixtures. We're playing against a team who can keep up the momentum and the tempo for 90 minutes because they've been training with this manager for nearly 3 years. They are top of the league for a reason. They've only lost once this season in the Premier League, and that was to us at Old Trafford. This is a good team. For the first 45 minutes, the way that we were playing, we were playing as if we came to play. But in the second half, we let them set the tempo. We let them run with the momentum that they had. And I do feel like when it was 2-2, it was screaming for a Garnacho substitution. And Weghorst was like, people were quick to be like, oh, why is he playing 90 minutes? It don't make sense. There was things he was doing that was contributing a lot in the first half. In the second half, our midfield was like, once Eriksen's legs gave way in the 55th, 60th minute, our midfield was no longer really there. McTominay came in to do a job that Casemiro does, and he can't really fill those shoes. He was shying away from the ball. We were trying to play out from the back, and he's that middleman between the back line and the midfielders and the forwards, and he was shying away from the ball. Obviously, he was putting in a foot here and there. He was there defensively to kind of help when called upon, but that's not the caliber of players that we need if we want to compete, if we want to be in a title race, like many people were saying. I think after the game, I'm still feeling the same way I'm feeling yesterday. I'm disappointed, but I'm not angry. In the past, I used to be angry when we were getting smoked by Liverpool and City, and I was angry after the game.
Yeah.
I know that this is a process. When you look at the beginning of the season, where we are now in 6 months, you can see the progress. And you like Rome isn't built in a day. And people might say, oh, we need to have better standards, but this manager's only been here for 6 months, and he's changed the mentality of the players that have thrown multiple managers under the bus. Like they've disappointed multiple managers. Like how many managers? Mourinho, Ole, Van Gaal, whatever. This manager has come in and he's dealing with a limited quality of depth. You look at the bench and bar Garnacho, you think, who else is there even for us to bring on to change the game when it's 2-2?
Our bench was Lindelof, Maguire. They're not going to change a game. Malacia, not going to change a game. Fred, okay, cool. Tom Heaton, Palestri, let's face it, still not going to come on in a game like that. Alanga, Garnacho, and Kobe Mino. That's our bench.
So we're running with a thin squad, and even like the next fixtures are not even helping us. I think one thing I look back on at the season is that Real Sociedad lost in the Europa League. Because of that, we've got 2 extra games in February. We couldn't beat Real Sociedad in the last game of the Europa League, which has meant we finished second. So that's 2 extra games. Obviously, we're in the Carabao Cup. We're still in the FA Cup. So there are positives. But you kind of look at it and think, how are we going to get through the next 10 games? We've got 10 games in about 34, 35 days.
How much football
and it's 4 different competitions. We're playing in 4 different competitions. And after yesterday's loss, there are things to take away from it. But it's our first loss in 10 fixtures. If you told me that at the beginning of the season, when we held 4 against Brentford, that we would go on a winning streak after, bear in mind, Rashford has scored I think it's 9 goals in 9 games since the World Cup. You can see the process the foundations are being laid, and I can't be mad I'm upset and I'm disappointed with yesterday's fixture just because we dropped points in the last minute again, similar to how the Palace game. But you can see people look leggy. Ten Hag is trying to make do with the best he's got. The only thing I'm hoping in the January transfer window is that the owners sell. If there aren't going to be any incomings realistically for the transfer window, and there isn't going to be any outgoings unless people go on loan. So the best outgoing is the Glazers leaving, because then that can kickstart Ten Hag's process.
FT19 says, I know people are saying top 4 is locked in, but I wouldn't be shocked if we end up fighting for top 4. Depth is very worrying. Our fixtures are mad. Yeah, for me, top 4. This is why, and this is how it's funny how quickly things can change, isn't it? obviously we were going into this week and saying how many points do you think we could get? If we can get 6 points by beating Palace and Arsenal, all of a sudden we're 3 points behind Arsenal. We're in a title race, this, that, and the other. And I know the likes of KG et al. Will always believe, and that's fine. But then you fast forward a week, and we've got 1 point from 6, and it completely changes the dynamic. And we've got Tottenham for all their woes. Terrible team. Absolutely agree. But for all of that, they play tonight, don't they? Against Fulham. Yeah. They're on us. They're 5 points behind. They win tonight. Obviously, yeah, they've got the game in hand, but they win tonight. They cut that down. They cut that down to 2 points.
I think the other thing, what we're forgetting though as well, isn't it, is that our team last year would have lost that game 5-1 yesterday at least.
Yeah, they would have capitulated.
I honestly believe it. I think what cost, this is me, I'm quite positive. I'm not positive about a loss. You can't be positive about a loss. But what I'm taking from it is we made a couple of individual errors, but a 2 or 3 players' performance on the whole game, I think, cost us the game. We lost that game the 85th minute at Crystal Palace when Casemiro went off. That's when we lost that game.
Yeah.
Because I think we as fans felt it. I'm sure the rest of the fan base felt it. But the positive that I take out of it is yesterday there was a record number of touches in the opposition in a penalty box from a team. And I think it was either 63 or 73 touches that Arsenal had in our box. So if you think that our goals came from little mistakes, how good was our defence yesterday overall?
Yeah, they were good.
That's a record. That's a record for this year in the Premier League, of the number of touches that Arsenal had in our box. Now, the problem is you ask yourself, how did they get to our box so quickly? Because with no midfield. That's simple, isn't it? The guys in the defence did the job. The people in midfield allowed them to come through midfield and get into our box. And that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
So I think it was, we're still in 4 competitions. We're the only club in the Premier League that's still in 4 competitions. Everybody else is either in 2 or 3. So we are stretching ourselves very thin. We're stretching ourselves very thin. What we should be concerned about is the fact that we've dropped 5 points in 2 games from winning places, from winning positions. We've led both them games at some stage, and we haven't been able to hang on. Mina's absolutely spot on. We've run our legs. I remember Klopp when he first came. His first year, Klopp, the last 10 games, Liverpool just died away.
Yeah,
because what he was trying to do, he wanted what Ten Hag does about press, about energy levels or whatever. That squad of players just physically couldn't do it. They physically couldn't do it. And we are probably going to be in the same position where at some stage somebody's going to have to ask themselves, what do we sacrifice? Yeah. Because I can't see us consistently performing in 4 competitions. That's a tough ask. It's a tough ask. You've seen it happen with Man City. You've seen it happen with Liverpool last year. They drop off. It's hard to win a treble. It's even hard to win a quadruple. And for us, with our squad, it'll be hard to win a cup. Simply because not our first team. I'm confident if our first team could play every game now to the end of the season, and we know who our first team is, and not be dropped and not get injured or whatever, I think you'd be comfortable for top 4 and at least 1 trophy. That's what I think. The fact is, we ain't going to get that. Yeah. We ain't going to get that. And that's it's sad, but we should be positive, because this time last year we were having different conversations. We wasn't talking about 4 competitions. We are talking about, what's happened to our club. Where's the pride? And no matter what happens, them players on that pitch yesterday played for our badge. Yeah. They played for our badge.
Yeah, they were fighting.
They might have played poorly, some of them, but they played for our badge. And we, from last year, we cannot ask any more, because that's what we expected.
Yeah.
This year, for us, wasn't about trophies. This year, for us as fans, was having pride in our football team. And you can't ask for more at this stage.
Exactly, especially like you said there, at this stage, that's the key. After 6 months, we can't ask for more. 100% agree with you. there, Kenny. I'll get these super chats read out. I missed yours, and I missed quite a few others as well. So I'm going to get those out before we wrap up. Garth K says, would you take Adama Traore over Anthony? Well, Adama Traore is a weird one because he's the opposite. He goes past you all the time, but then don't have any end product.
Does nothing.
Finishing product.
So
Then puts it over the stand.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to say no because that you'd see him go past people like they weren't there, and then he would just be terrible. So no, I wouldn't. Thank you for the super chat, and the guys, everyone on the panel agrees with that. Lemania 44 says, how comes the January transfer window is easy for other clubs but always hard for United? I looked at the bench yesterday. I almost cried after 60 minutes. Yeah, we did just touch on that. Aminor says, it just shows how crap Ollie and Phelan was at coaching. Well, now we've got a proper coach, a proper manager, 100%. Josh Warren, been a member for 7 months. Big up to Josh. Said 900 plus watching and only 200 likes. Smash the like button. Help grow the community. Red card and a Mike Phelan emoji with a bomb as well. Bomb emoji as well. Make sure you do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're at 131k now as well, which is amazing. Well done, UV community. Red Baron says, okay, I mean, Dallo's reading of the game is better. Okay, fair enough. And Yogero says, we need Sheshko. Fast and great link up. Yeah, but he already signed to go to RB Leipzig, didn't he? So I don't see how that happens. FT19 says, I know people are saying top 4 is locked in. I read that one earlier on as well. And just quickly before we wrap up, a bit of interesting news, actually. This is from Martin Ziegler of the Times, and he's reporting that UEFA are planning to set a 5-year maximum for the length of time over which a player's transfer fee can be spread from this summer. It's understood that the move comes after a number of clubs raised concerns with UEFA over Chelsea's recent activity. So they're basically everyone's run to UEFA and said, hey, what's going on here? How are they able to keep doing this? And now from next season, apparently you can't spread the cost over more than 5 years.
I don't get that though, because it's the international accounting standards that are allowing them to account for that in that way. It's not UEFA. So unless UEFA are now meddling in things that are not their business just to prevent Chelsea, and I don't get it. That's a weird one. I don't know how they feel like. Do you guys feel like they should be allowed to implement those kind of rules? Because that's not something that they're directly responsible for.
There are 2 rules. Yeah, the 2 rules. There's the Premier League rule, which is around sustainability, which is long-term sustainability, and then you've got financial fair play, which looks at the balance sheets with regards to expenditures with regards to revenue. So, if for example, they sell a player for 50 million this year, that goes on as revenue for this year. But if they buy a player for 80 million over 10 years, it's only 8 million on their expenditure. So the problem for United is if we had our recruitment record, if we were signing players on 8-year contracts, we'd end up with a team full of Phil Joneses sat in the dressing room in 8 years' time. That's our problem. So,
yeah. But that's the dangerous game you play, because if Chelsea,
it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous.
If their things don't work out, or they sack,
you've got a problem,
and they've got all these players there on 8-year deals,
exactly.
then they're gonna be in big trouble. So, yeah, the grass isn't always greener. Wishing to have that kind of expenditure what Chelsea got, but they need to hope that it works for them, because if it doesn't, and they get to this time next year in January, and they are stuck with all
they're risking it all, innit?
Exactly.
They're risking it all.
Exactly.
But having said that, some of the players that they've bought, I'm not gonna lie, they're very good players. I remember Bradley Shields was linked with Manchester United last summer, summer before that, and his price was like 70-80 million. I was speaking to a couple of European football experts at the time who come on some shows I was doing, and they were saying how highly rated he is, and they got him for like 35 million. If I look at João Felix, obviously I'd have him. If I look at Mudryk, he looked sharp when he came on against Liverpool, by the way.
Excellent.
He looked really good. He looked, obviously it's really early, but you looked at him and thought, tell you what, they got a player there. If
he'd have gone to Arsenal, wow.
Exactly. Oh gosh, yeah. Imagine him in that team. So it's a good thing they didn't get him. But yeah, they're buying players for the future. You know, we'll see. Hopefully it don't work for them. There's more space for us. There you go. Guys, wicked show. Great stuff. We held the fort down well. I think we can all give ourselves a pat on the back. No Owen, no KG, no Marcel, but we held it down. We done really well. And big up to everyone who's been watching in the chat as well and enjoying the show. It's another jam-packed week. The games don't stop coming. Actually, just really quickly, I'll go around the room. Mina, first leg against Forest away, City ground. They are solid at home at the minute. Not going to be an easy game under the lights. We are fatigued at the moment. We are lagging a little bit. City ground, tough. What are you saying?
Yeah, I think we'll win. I feel like Ten Hag's going to put out a strong lineup for that, and then put out a rotational lineup against Reading on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, our next Premier League game is next week. I think
Yeah.
this week. So I think we'll be all right.
Okay. Kenny, how you feeling about that game?
I take a draw, and then do them at Old Trafford.
Yeah. Okay. DJ?
Anything but a
1-0
loss.
United. 1-0 United. I think we've got enough in the tank to just, get a goal and then just, if you want to just shut up shop after that, man. We need everyone to rest.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but we've got, 2 opportunities, 2 games to beat Forest to get to a final. If you don't do that, obviously you don't deserve to get to the final, but
we will be gutted.
Absolutely gutting. Absolutely. But we've got it, this is their cup final now for Forest. Under the lights against Man United, free hit, all the history that surrounds Forest. They live for nights like this. That is going to be a tough game. And I'll be honest, I might be a bit pessimistic. I think we'll find that really tough. Draw, I think. Especially with, knackered after Palace, knackered after Arsenal. And I do think he goes with the same strong team. Ten Hag won't take any chances. Won't be playing like Kobe Mino and all that.
Because he's been talking about wanting a trophy this season. Like he's been saying that he wants to win a trophy, whether it's the Carabao, FA, whatever it is. So
exactly.
That's why I have a feeling, because Forest are more of a Premier League experienced team. If we go with a stronger lineup for that, and then FA Cup on Saturday, we might see Kobe Mino, we might see Facundo Pellistri, we might see the younger players go out, and I'll be all right with that. I'll be okay with that.
100%.
Yeah, I would love him. Yeah, I'd love to see young Iqbal on against Reading. Let's just give them a chance. Let's make an assumption that we're all not happy with McTominay's performance yesterday and other people's performance. Well, we need something instead of McTominay. But if you've not played them and never played them young lads or whatever this season, what chance have they got?
You're not going to bring him in, exactly.
No, but if you bring him in against Reading, then at least it gives that lad some hope or whatever.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'd happily settle for that.
Agreed. Yeah. Big thanks to Kenny again. Second showdown. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed having you on. Big shout out to Mina as per usual. All the Queen Means in the comments. All Mina's little clan in there. She's got a little group in there. Yeah. We know you support Mina. We know that. Big up everyone. Happy to see DJ back as well. Great to see DJ back in and amongst things as well. So yes, guys, more content coming for you guys. We'll have match previews. We'll have press conference reactions in the lead up to the Forest game as well. And we'll see you all again tomorrow, 9 a.m. straight away. Peace.
Peace.